Tim Moylan Iceplex was built in 1995 by Tim Moylan. He passed away August 1st of 1996, months after it was opened. At that time, his wife then took over as the owner. However, she was raising the 4 kids at home, so she was uninvolved. A general manager was brought in to run the place, and it went downhill. Then back in 2004, Pat Macheda was brought in, and he was brought in because the rink had not been doing well, and 2 of the other business owners of the rink knew him as a hockey guy, supposedly independently wealthy, and he would come in and do the job cheaply. And so he was brought in and to run the ice rink, and it was discovered in 2009 that he had been stealing for the past 5 years, starting in late 2004, and subsequently we learned that he stole $1 million. And it was sporadic at first, little things here and there where he'd go on a shopping trip to Home Depot and credit cards, and then it was checks to himself, and then he was bold enough to write a $16,000 check for a truck. It spiraled every year, got greater and greater. So the $1 million wasn't taken in huge chunks. It was taken over time. And it was also taken from him going to the owner and saying, oh, we're having financial trouble. We had this happen or that happen. I need you to write me a check for $40,000 here or $30,000 there. And at the time, you had to write the check because there was a mortgage against it, so you couldn't just walk away. So it was gradual and slow, and since the rink had never done well, it wasn't questioned enough of why does it not make any money. He didn't do anything very sneaky. He just literally would go in and grab checks, and then he would write them to himself. Now, there was a bookkeeper there, and the bookkeeper knew that he was doing this. She later claimed that she wasn't aware of the deal between the owner and the general manager, so she considered it okay. She just went along with it. And the reason she went along with it was because she was paid more than she was worth. She would be able to leave early. So she had perks. So in a way, there was collusion without necessarily them colluding. Certainly she knew. And the way it was discovered was the owner got a call from the bookkeeper back October of '09 saying, you know, I need to talk to you. Can we go to your house? We can't do it at the rink. And at that point, she confessed that there were some issues with the sales taxes that had been filed for the previous 3 years. They had been underreporting the sales taxes. And so the state came in, and the bookkeeper was the one signing the returns, and she knew that they were fraudulent. She knew that they were underreported. So at that point, she had to confess, and then at that point it unraveled. And the consequences to Pat was he got 5 to 6 years prison and felonies. I believe there were 7 counts, some income tax evasion as well as theft by deception. He's served his time and he's currently out right now. We were able to recoup a portion of our money. We took possession of his house, did have a mortgage on it, but there was some equity there. We took a 1/6 interest in the family's cabin. All said and done, we probably received approximately $200,000 cash after we liquidated everything, but of the 4 Corvettes that he had, he was able to sell 2 of them before we were able to get a sheriff's lien on them. And then the 2 we did get were not worth all that much. We also got a bunch of tools and different things that we could prove were stolen. But again, you're just getting some stuff that's really not worth all that much. And from that $200,000, we had about $100,000 that we owed the state of Nebraska for the sales taxes that were behind. So really, we maybe netted $100,000 of the $1 million. I think in order for a small business to be able to keep track of its money, the owner has to be involved. They have to be the check signer. They have to be looking at the bank statements. You can have other people prepare the checks and do the bank reconciliations, but in order for you to be assured that your money's not walking out the door, you have to be the one writing the checks and looking at the statements.